Well, I've mentioned in a few of my videos that it's time to start working on the fretboard for the soprano ukulele. So I figure this is a good time to talk about some of the material selection choices I've made on this project. I know walnut seems like a little bit of an odd choice for the fretboard, and especially if it's just going to blend into the walnut I've already used. Now that being said, I really want to keep on theme with this ukulele. I haven't been very precious with this at all, but it has had one theme throughout. I wouldn't call this a scrapwood project, but none of the wood used for this was intended for this project. The back and sides were both cut from a piece of walnut where I was experimenting with a homemade frame saw. It's not the best solution there, and I definitely need to rethink that idea. But it was an experiment in panel sawing, and once I had the panels, I found that I had some leftover spruce. And one thing led to another, and that's how the ukulele was born. The neck is made from the same piece of walnut that I used for the back and sides, but it was a leftover piece from another project. Even the maple and walnut used for the rosette, which I'm extremely happy with, those are left over from another project as well. So I wouldn't call this a scrapwood project, but maybe a leftover wood project. For that reason, I really don't want to reach for a traditional fretboard material. Now, it's a ukulele, and all along, I've had fun saying, oh well, it's a ukulele. No stress. So I'm going to make the fretboard out of walnut because, oh well, it's ukulele. Let's get to it. I only need a few, maybe 9 inches or so of this material. So from about there to there is what I'm planning to use. I've got another idea of something I'm going to do that might screw this up. Oh well, it's a ukulele. Worst case scenario, I'll crack and grab a piece of fretboard material from my wood stack. So next up is to mark out the fret positions. When I designed this ukulele, I designed it with a 13 7/8 inch scale in mind. Soprano ukulele somewhere between 13 and 14 inches usually, and I just happen to have a fret ruler with a 13 7/8 inch mandolin scale on one side. So that's what we're going to use. Now I realize that marking and cutting my fret slots with this guy is not going to be super precise, but it's a ukulele. No stress. It's going to be fun. Alright, so the fret slots are marked, notched out with my knife. That will help with my slightly non-traditional approach to cutting the slots. I say non-traditional, but it's really the most rudimentary, most simple setup there is. Most anyone has this setup. A square and a flush trim saw. This is the only saw I own currently with that 23 thousandths of an inch kerf. Everything else is either just a little too narrow or a little too wide. I found that this is perfect. And obviously, you need to make sure that I don't get any drift with my square. That's where the marking knife comes into play to help me get everything aligned with my notches. No, again, it's not going to be perfect. Not engineering precision here. But it's going to work. It's going to be fun. Let's do it.
all of the curves line up with my ruler at the center line, as well as both edges. So you don't need to spend $250 on a fret slotting jig. I probably will, I really want to, but it's not necessary to get going. That's what I've decided. So I am going to build a jig here soon. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to share it with you. Anyway, onward. We need to taper this fretboard, bind it, and get our frets installed. Got it to the right shape, but now I just need to make it a little bit narrower so I can fit my binding stock on. My binding is 5/64 of an inch, so I'm going to take off 5/64 on either side. There we go. Now, the tricky part, doing the same thing on that side. Cool. Ready to go. That's going to be all for today. I still have a little bit to clean up here and there, but I'm really happy with how this turned out. The miters on the corners had me pretty nervous, but it went all right, actually. Didn't have to break into the extra material that I had. That's awesome. So, after I get everything cleaned up, you know what's next. Thanks for joining me.